Alright, now that we've completed a successful replication, let's go through and deploy our protection group into Azure. As you can see, we get a bit of an overview of how much of the Azure environment we're using. I'm just going to replicate it in the background while we're going there. But as you can see there, we can see how much of the Azure we're currently consuming. When we do a deploy, we can choose to use an existing network, but I'm just going to deploy into a brand new network. I can change the instance type that or go into, but I'm just going to go with the standard one, and we can supply a stack name. Now the stack is just basically a reference name to use for the deployment. So I'm clicking deploy. That's going to head off and start the actual deployment into Azure. At this point, it can take just a few moments to complete. There is ETAs coming up on that very shortly. Uh, on average, you'll see quite it will take at a minimum of about 15 minutes to actually deploy the VM before it is actually up and running. So I'm going to speed up. So there we are. First steps here is when we start the import, it actually imports the disk into, converts the VMDK into the VHD onto Azure. Once that's completed, we actually do the spin up from the VHD into the Azure instance and do the conversion that we need to. Obviously, I've sped this up, so we should be real time, but yeah, so we should start launching. And there we go. That was very fast. Once you launch into Azure, everything gets put into a cloud service. Now I'm just refreshing the page here. And the cloud service is how we deploy the virtual each of the new VMs there. So there's my vSphere 5.5 one I just created there. I'm just going to go to the instance I've deployed from that one. I've got a few that I've deployed previously, so I might just go back to the cloud service and select the instance that's relevant to my cloud service. Instances, and that one. Perfect. What I'm going to do now, I can see that instance is up and running. I need to be able to get access to it. So to do this, I just need to open up the firewall or the endpoint on that. So I'm just going to allow RDP through. The reason we don't do this by default is that it's open to the internet. So we want to make sure that when it's deployed by default, it's going to be secure. A couple more things I'm going to do here is just go back to my machine here. I'm just going to grab that DNS name. I'm going to put that into my remote desktop client. And once that endpoint has been updated, I'm going to do a test remote desktop just to see that machine's actually been deployed. So I'll just paste that in. I'll give it the username and password. It's the same username and password as it was on premise or in the VMware environment, so nothing's really changed on the VM from that. Changes there. Okay, so I'll wait for that to be applied. Endpoints usually just take a minute or two to actually update. So there it is, been done. Alright, I'll connect to it. Remote desktop, yep, accept the certificate, and yep, add it to my store. Type my password right, there we are. And now I can actually log into that VM that's been imported from VMware, and now that's deployed into my Azure environment. As you can see, I'll bring that up. Everything's functioning as you'd expect on that. Okay, easy. So now that we've actually gone through, we can see that took about 31 minutes to actually deploy that VM, and I can go through and undeploy it. But before I undeploy it, next thing I'm going to do is actually do a copy back.